Welcome to The Explainer. Look, today we're diving into an absolutely fascinating collision course. We're looking at rapid, massive leaps in pharmaceutical weight loss, intersecting directly with some major regulatory shifts in the world of biohacking and peptide therapy. If you've been following the metabolic health space, you know we've already moved way beyond the initial hype of standard GLP-1s. We are officially entering an era of triple agonists, highly targeted healing, and entirely redefined human performance. To hook your attention right out of the gate, I want you to think about this number, 28.7%. That is the staggering maximum weight loss seen in the recent TRIUMPH-4 clinical trial for a new drug called Retatrutide. To really put that into perspective, that is surgical-level weight loss, but it's achieved through just a weekly injection. The ceiling on what we thought was possible for pharmaceutical weight loss just completely shattered, and the implications for our health, they're profound. So, here's our game plan for today. We'll cover the weight loss arms race, Retatrutide's triple agonist triumph, trade-offs and safety signals, the healing peptide era, and finally, the FDA's 2026 peptide reclassification. Let's jump into Section 1, the weight loss arms race. For a long time, we've had semaglutide kind of dominating the market, right? It's a single GLP-1 agonist. But the SURMOUNT-5 trial was basically the ultimate heavyweight bout. It pitted the dual agonist, tirzepatide, which targets both GLP-1 and GIP, directly against semaglutide over a grueling 72-week period. Well, tirzepatide undeniably took the crown. It delivered a 20.2% weight reduction compared to semaglutide's 13.7%. Just for context, an agonist is simply a compound that activates a specific receptor in your body. So adding that second receptor target, GIP, proved that multi-receptor agonism is really the key to unlocking these much deeper metabolic changes. But here's the thing, Big Pharma wasn't about to stop at just two. Which brings us to Section 2, Retatrutide's triple agonist triumph. Retatrutide isn't just another dual agonist. It's actually a triple agonist. It takes the GLP-1 and GIP activity we just talked about and adds a third, absolutely crucial element to the mix, glucagon. Now, why does this matter so much? Because of a massive hidden epidemic, metabolic dysfunction-associated steatotic liver disease, or MASLD. This affects roughly 38% of the entire global population. We're talking about 1.5 billion people. We just saw the first oral NASH drug, resmetirom, get FDA approval back in March 2024, and tirzepatide's Phase 2 showed a really solid 51% MASH resolution. But retatrutide, it's expected to vastly outperform both of them because that unique glucagon component directly drives hepatic fat oxidation. It actively clears out liver fat accumulation. The metabolic burn here is just staggering. Actually, upcoming research slated for the ADA 2026 scientific sessions shows something wild. GIP and glucagon activity alone, without even needing the GLP-1, is sufficient for comparable weight loss. It proves glucagon is the real game changer for metabolic disease. In the TRIUMPH-4 trial, patients on the highest 12 milligram dose lost an average of 71.2 pounds. When you adjust for the placebo, that's 26.6% of their total body weight gone in just 68 weeks. But you know, it's not just about the number on the scale. Offloading that much visceral weight has some incredible compounding physical benefits. As Dr. Kenneth Custer pointed out, this drug reduced osteoarthritis knee pain by nearly 76%. In fact, more than 1 out of 8 treated patients were completely free of knee pain by the end of the trial. Think about that. They didn't just lose weight. They literally reclaimed their mobility and their lives.
Moving on to Section 3, trade-offs and safety signals.
So, the inevitable question we have to ask when looking at all this glowing data is, what's the catch, right? Massive pharmaceutical intervention almost never comes without some sort of side effect. And retatrutide is pushing the human body's metabolic accelerator harder than we've ever seen before. Naturally, the expected gastrointestinal issues are there. Nausea hit 43% of patients, and diarrhea affected about a third. And lean muscle loss? That remains a major concern with any rapid weight reduction. But here is a truly surprising detail from the data. The drug is so potent that some patients actually dropped out of the trial due to perceived excessive weight loss. Basically, their bodies were dropping mass so fast, they got freaked out and actively chose to stop. Wild, right? But most notably, a brand new safety signal emerged in this TRIUMPH-4 data, something called dysesthesia. This is an abnormal pain sensation where a perfectly normal touch suddenly feels highly unusual or even painful. It affected nearly 21% of patients on the highest dose.
Now, while it rarely led to anyone actually quitting the trial, it's a really stark reminder that we are pulling some incredibly powerful neurological and metabolic levers here.
Let's dive into Section 4, the healing peptide era. Because of those side effects, the new protocol emerging among advanced clinicians isn't to just blindly blast a patient with the absolute maximum dose of a weight loss drug. Instead, they're pivoting. They're compounding microdoses of these GLP-1s and combining them directly with specific regenerative peptides. The goal here is smart optimization. Strip the fat while actively signaling the body to preserve its muscle, heal tissue, and maintain overall durability. To understand how this magic actually works, we need to look at growth hormone secretagogues. Rather than injecting synthetic growth hormone, which, by the way, completely shuts down your body's own natural production, these peptides act a lot more like a thermostat. They just gently whisper to the pituitary gland, encouraging it to release its own natural pulses of growth hormone. That triggers the liver to produce IGF-1, which is a highly anabolic compound that repairs tissue and protects your lean muscle mass, even when you're in a steep caloric deficit.
Clinicians generally split these into two camps. You've got type 1 peptides, like tesamorelin, which are highly specific for targeting that stubborn, dangerous visceral fat wrapped around your organs. Then you've got type 2 peptides, like ipamorelin, which basically mimic your hunger hormone ghrelin. They gently encourage that growth hormone release, they drastically improve deep sleep, and crucially, they do all of this without aggressively spiking your stress hormones like cortisol. It's essentially a precision tool for human recovery.
And finally, Section 5. The FDA's 2026 peptide reclassification. Over the last few years, the FDA actually restricted many of the most popular healing and performance peptides, pushing them onto the Category 2 list. This effectively banned legal compounding pharmacies from making them. And what happened? Well, it drove users straight to sketchy, gray market research chemical websites, and the data shows exactly how dangerous that is. Over 40% of those gray market products were found to be improperly dosed, degraded, or just outright contaminated. But the landscape completely shifted in April 2026. The Department of Health and Human Services announced that 14 absolutely crucial performance peptides are being moved back to Category 1. We're talking heavy hitters here, like BPC-157 for gut and tissue healing, TB500, and ipamorelin. This is huge because it effectively restores the legal pharmaceutical-grade pipeline. Patients can finally work directly with their doctors again to access safe, regulated, and uncontaminated peptides. This legitimizes the entire compounding pipeline and, most importantly, protects the patients. But the story's not over yet. The regulatory clock is ticking toward the formal Pharmacy Compounding Advisory Committee, or PCAC meetings, happening in July 2026. These meetings are going to officially shape the legal future of not just tissue healers, but cutting-edge longevity and cognitive peptides too. Concurrently, all that MASLD liver data we talked about, it's expected to expand Retatrutide's label way beyond just obesity, forcing a massive regulatory update. It's honestly a defining moment for the future of preventative and performance medicine. Which leaves us right here. We are standing at the exact intersection of two massive revolutions. On one side, you've got pharmaceutical giants practically curing obesity and fatty liver disease with these unprecedented triple agonists. And on the other side, regulatory bodies are finally bringing precision healing peptides out of the shadows to mitigate the side effects of those very drugs. So I want to leave you with this to think about. As these two worlds merge into a single unified standard of care, what does the baseline for human health, aging, and performance actually look like 10 years from now? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep optimizing, and I'll see you in the next one.